Hi, friends. I'm beaming at you today from inner space, and I wanted to share some of the exciting celestial alignments we have cooking up in our sky this week. Everything that happens in outer space, up above, affects us here on planet Earth. It affects you, your body, your mind, your soul. The celestial alignments have such a great influence and gravitational pull on what happens here in our world. So we are in July 2026, and the sun did enter the constellation of Cancer back on July 21st. You can see, so each constellation really acts like a celestial abode or a home base for the sun as it moves on its path across in 360-degree sweep across the sky. It travels on a path that astronomers call the ecliptic. And the ecliptic is divided into houses or constellations. And the ones that run along the ecliptic, those constellations, we call the zodiac constellations. So you're familiar with those if you've done any astrology or heard much about astrology. So the constellation that the sun is in now is Cancer. And in the Cancer constellation, we have this star cluster called the Beehive Cluster. The Beehive Cluster is really associated with the skull, the pineal gland, the ability to see the depth of a situation, insight. It's like your inner eye, your inner knowing. So right now, this week, it's Monday, July 27th. You can see on the bottom there, this Jupiter and the sun are both in the celestial abode, the constellation of Cancer in the sky. And Jupiter and the sun are moving close together. They're going to conjunct Tuesday, Wednesday, July 29th, which also is the full moon. So it's a very powerful alignment. The sun and the moon are directly across from each other in the sky, in opposition. The moon is with Pluto, the sun is with Jupiter. That opposition creates a very dynamic gateway. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So this is the movement of the sun and Jupiter as they move through late July and into early August. The moon is next to Pluto when it's full, then moves into Capricorn, then into Aquarius. So on July 29th, Jupiter is right next to the sun right next to Jupiter. That's called a conjunction. And they are also both right next to the Beehive Cluster. So when the sun conjuncts Jupiter, it's a time of much expansion and golden energy. Jupiter reminds us of what it's like to live large, to be full, to expand. And when the sun comes next to Jupiter, it's that celebratory time of expansion and great insight. Now, this year, they happen to be conjuncting right here next to the Beehive Cluster. And the Beehive Cluster is a group of maybe 1,000-ish stars, and they all were birthed in the same nebula. And from that nebula, they were birthed out into space. And they travel at the same velocity in the same direction. A cluster of stars is like a family of stars. So this Beehive Cluster is known from ancient times. There's a lot of tuning into the resonant chamber of the skull, your beehive, your dome. So that day, July 29th, which is Wednesday this week, is very powerful. It has this solar Jupiter conjunction at the beehive, and it's full moon. The full moon is exact on July 29th. Eastern time, where I live, Massachusetts, New York time, Boston time, it's at 10:36 a.m. The moon is in the constellation of Capricorn, the seahorse, the sea goat, I mean, and right next to Pluto. So these powerful planets, Jupiter, Pluto, Moon, and Sun, creating this big cross sky opposition, which is a powerful moment this week. The next day, the Sun moves right next to the Beehive Cluster. So that's on July 30th. And the Sun being next to the Beehive Cluster shines a light of awareness into our own inner knowing, direct knowing, and ability to see clearly and to shine brightly like a star. And on as we move through the end of July into early August, we can have a little forecasting here. On Tuesday, August 4th, Sirius, Jupiter, and the Sun have a cosmic rising. A cosmic rising is when two stars, two celestial bodies, two planets, two stars, two suns, sun and moon, when they rise together on the horizon. So on August 4th, Sirius rises with Sun and Jupiter, and Jupiter on that same day is directly next to the Beehive cluster. So we just said earlier that Jupiter is conjuncting the Sun on the 29th. So when a star or a planet conjuncts the Sun, we don't see it in the night sky because it's in the light of the Sun. So we can't see Jupiter right now this week. When we can see Jupiter next, it will be in the morning, right before sunset. And that rising is called the heliacal rising, when it pulls out of the sun's glare and is visible again in the night sky. This will be the early, early morning twilight sky. So Jupiter is pretty bright. I don't think that on August 4th we'll be able to see Jupiter, see how close it is to the sun there. So this may or may not be visible. You'd have to have just the right conditions, really dark place, super wide open vista of the eastern sky. Um, but you can check it out. I plan to get up and see if I can see what there is to see. That Jupiter is next to the Beehive cluster on August 4th. And that powerful alignment is then followed by the next week we have the sun moving into the constellation Leo. That will set us up for our next big celestial gateway, which is includes the eclipses, the solar eclipse on August 12th, the lunar eclipse on August 28th. So I'm going to leave you with this for this update, and I'll dive very deeply into the eclipse next time I beam at you. Thanks so much.